With a custom GPT, you can actually train that. It's like a mini AI assistant that is highly trained on your business or the business that you're marketing for. And so it's highly, highly optimized to get really great output for you very quickly.
I really think that a lot of people are threatened by it, but I know for me as a client, now that I have contractors in my business, if someone comes to me and they know AI, it's actually peace of mind because I'm not going to get a surprise invoice. I know they're working efficiently. Like I know they're
Yeah.
taking care of me and they're also thinking ahead.
Yeah, and I would say like one of the other things that we've really seen, so ChatGPT came out, a bunch of people started using it. They would write an email, "Oh my gosh, this is so much better than what I could have written." Like remembering they're not a marketer, they don't really know about messaging. So it's a little bit like what we've seen a lot of is the IKEA effect, which is where when you build it yourself, you think it's better than it actually is. And another thing that we're like really watching people now learn the hard way is that you still have to prompt it and it still takes time to like go back and forth with ChatGPT. And even though it's faster and even though it is at a higher level of quality than whatever your baseline is, there's still time and effort. And so there's kind of a couple of divergent paths. There's some business owners who are like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to do this myself. I'm going to save a ton of money. They started doing it themselves and they're like, this was hard and it kind of sucks and it's not really working that well. And so they're like, I'll just pay somebody to do it. They still want the benefits of AI and they want somebody to do it for them. And then there's the other entrepreneur who wants to go and learn a ton about it and try to figure it out themselves. And it just takes a lot of time and energy to get there. And so I think the direction that we're going to see things moving is where you have people with marketing backgrounds who also specialize in using AI. Another thing we're also seeing is that we can all start to recognize what ChatGPT content sounds like, because if you don't do it right, there's a lot of like sameness to it, like a lot of that kind of generic AI word salad is what I like to call it,
Yeah.
where it's like kind of communicating the right concepts, but just like something's missing. People are also kind of tired of reading that in their inboxes. And so that is also a huge opportunity for marketers to use AI to get the first draft, really put their polish on it, and also like really understand how to use the tool to get the best results so they can really help their clients.
What would you suggest for somebody who wants to get started and wants to learn?
There's this incredible opportunity right now with custom GPTs. And so if you go to an LLM like ChatGPT, for example, you go to the chatbot, you have to prime it. You have to help it understand the context of like who your client is or who the audience is or what kind of offers you're promoting or marketing. Whereas with a custom GPT, you can actually train that. It's like a mini AI assistant that is highly trained on your business or the business that you're marketing for. And so you have basically like a PDF or a text file that gives all of the information about, who the client is, the brand voice, the offers that you're promoting, even like different types of, marketing strategies that you use. And so it's highly, highly optimized to get really great output for you very quickly.
So for someone who's new to ChatGPTs, like what does this actually look like?
So there's a few key prompts that we've stumbled on. They're pretty simple. Telling it to use everyday vocabulary, don't sound overly scripted or rehearsed. If you give it some demographic information, age and gender, that really helps it to know the voice that it should speak in. Especially ChatGPT is like really good with that demographic information. Really to get like a good, like just a nice brand voice, you can have like long pages and sometimes showing it other examples of stuff that you really liked worked because it can pick up key phrases and word choice and then build off of that to come up with something that's really similar. There's different elements to it. And this is what we figured out. There's figuring out the brand voice, getting it to sound the way that you want it to sound, to choose the vocabulary, structure the sentences the way that you want. The other aspect is the actual framework that it's following. So at what point, like how soon does it present the solution? Like how is it hooking the reader? Is it using a bold statement? And you can tell it to do these things. Like when you write the email, start with a bold statement or a surprising fact. So you can give it step-by-step guidance.
Awesome. Do you have any
Yeah.
other tips on prompting? Because I have also heard and realized in my own playtime that if I ask it to do too many things at once, it's a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, so you want to give it one task at a time. If you don't have a custom GPT and you're just using regular chat GPT, One of the best ways to start is telling it the job title. If you're doing marketing for somebody else, like what is their job title? Like who is their ideal client? What are those ideal clients' problems and what results do they want? And then asking AI to expand on the problems and results. Because AI is going to think of a lot more stuff. It's called priming. So you get a chat that's full of like pain points and desired results for this ideal client. And now it's like got a lot more information in the history so that you don't have to type it out. So you get it primed like that. And then you can start by saying, I want to write a sequence of 5 emails to promote this event. And the first thing you have it do is just write the outline for the 5 email sequence. So don't write all 5 emails, just have it do the outline first. Then the next step you do is have it write the first email. So you say, please write the first email, use this voice, and you just give it the outline for the first email with any edits that you want it to make. So kind of in the outline, just update it with whatever that message is, and ideas will be coming to you at this point because it's going to be really close, but it won't be spot on. So you always want to like edit that outline of what you're giving it to write before it writes. You don't want to go back and try to fix a bad email because that's really hard. You just want it written correctly the first time. So yeah, you break it down into steps for emails or whatever you're doing. Typically you have it write an outline first and then write one piece at a time.
So it sounds like
Yeah.
a lot of work to prime every time you're sitting down
Yes.
to write, especially if it's like the same client. So is that the benefit of a custom chat GPT is like you do the work once?
Not only is the messaging so much better with a lot more specificity and nuance and detail and all of those things that really make messaging pop, and tell people like, hey, this is for you, but also it's a lot less prompting.
So I know people are charging thousands of dollars for a custom chat GPT. Is that worth it?
It depends on what it's doing. And it depends on how big and the project is for the GPT and how many GPTs that they're building. We've gotten a lot of requests to build them for people. And we always tell people it depends on how much time you're spending on this task and what's your time worth and how much time is it going to save you or how much revenue could it generate because it's helping you get better copy and better content.
So we decided to offer a complete custom GPT package for just $297, where we give training on how to build your own custom GPT to use as your AI copywriter. And all you have to do is answer a couple of questions about your business or your client's business.
What are people really messing up when it comes to their content that's the output?
They are letting AI tell them what to say.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yeah, so they'll have AI come up with post topic ideas, and then they'll have AI write the post or write the email, and they won't put any of their own personality into it. One of the things about ChatGPT, its natural default voice it was built by, well, 50% Microsoft. Microsoft owns half. So think of the personality of Microsoft. Professional, academic, corporate, that is the default voice of ChatGPT, and it can do all other kinds of voices. But one of the big mistakes is people don't update that default voice. Also, ChatGPT doesn't speak with a lot of specificity. So it'll say boost revenue rather than get your calendar fully booked with sales calls. One is very visual and one is very conceptual. So we see a lot of that, and that's one of the easiest ways to recognize AI generated content versus something that was done by a professional copywriter is because ChatGPT will talk about concepts and ideas. You can't close your eyes and see it. Like I can't close my eyes and see boosting revenue, but I can close my eyes and see my calendar fully booked with sales calls, right? They mean the same thing, but one is going to stick in people's memories and the other one's not. Yeah, and also becoming, I think, overly reliant on AI. And sometimes we just forget to stop and take a breath and use our own human brains,
Yeah.
letting it sometimes inspire ideas in us, but then taking that idea, saying, this is my perspective, like this is my stand, this is what I think. Now go write that email.
So I'm thinking about an episode we did with Marisa Corcoran, and we talked a lot about the word, I think she calls it the word closet. But, we all have similar things where a story bank or word bank or whatever. Can ChatGPT do anything with that? Is it on us to be collecting that constantly?
And so you can definitely add that to your GPT if you want to, but no, because if you think about what ChatGPT really is, it's basically text autocomplete. And we all know this. It's what we all have on our iPhones. It's when you can tap, tap, tap to the next word because it's doing word prediction. So if I were to say on my phone, I were to say, hi, it's probably going to predict, how are you for the next 3 words. And ChatGPT is like that, but on steroids. So when you give ChatGPT a few keywords that you really like, that cues it into the type of vocabulary that you really like. It could be really informal buzzwords. It could be like much more formal jargon type language. But when you give it examples of even phrases that you like to use, it will pick up on like that type of vocabulary and that type of sentence structure, and it will replicate it. So that stuff is really super helpful for ChatGPT to have.
Yeah,
But
but you could
yeah.
also include stories that are relevant to like your expertise or experience. You could include client case studies or customer testimonials so that it naturally just knows to pull them into where it's relevant in your emails, for example, which is pretty cool.
Can it house all of that and know when to reference it?
Yeah, you can have an entire section in your knowledge base that's lists of customer success stories and testimonials. Also, if you have your own personal story, like your brand founding story and information about you, like personal quirky details that make you interesting and that you're known for, you can have that stuff in there. And so it'll like weave all of that together.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
One more prompting tip that's one of our favorites
Oh,
is
yeah.
AI can actually critique its own work. So you can ask it to write an email for you. And if there's something you don't like, but you can't quite tell what it is, or you just want it to do a better job, you can ask it to critique its own work, basically give recommendations and feedback for improvements on the email that it just wrote, and then have it rewrite the email based on those recommendations and improvements. And it makes a huge difference.
And one more, if you want it,
Of course, we're here for
is
it.
so, and when it comes to like really strategizing with AI, if you express the idea of, whatever it is that you're trying to get clarity on or that what you want to achieve, then you ask AI to actually ask you clarifying questions. So like up to 3 or up to 5 clarifying questions so that it can get the information it needs to be able to give you a really good answer. It's going to help you get the result that you want.
Yeah.
I've also heard that saying please is better for that. Have you heard that? Am I just making this up?
It does like technically every single word that you input affects the way that it responds. If
Okay.
you ever look at the ChatGPT system prompt, its instructions are to kind of like, it literally says to match the vibe of the user.
Oh.
So when you're saying please and you're being polite, it's going to match that vibe because that's what's in the background in its instructions. Yeah.
I've also heard to tell it to take its time on some things that are like longer. Is that a good prompting best practice?
Yeah, there was one that was actually the prompt that was actually studied, and they found like actually improved performance is you give it the task, say, I want you to do this, but before you answer, take a deep breath and think carefully, then give me my answer.
That is amazing. And then I think about how much work opens up to a marketing assistant who is savvy, who
Yes.
understands the storytelling, the case studies that Lauren is talking about, and can help collect those interviews, those testimonials. Like to me, it always comes back down to that. I don't know. What do we call that? That's almost becomes the core content for your chat GPT.
Exactly. And I mean, and think about when you get proficient in this, the amount of time savings that it's going to create for you in your business. Like
Yeah.
we're all about freedom. Freedom is our like core value. And that's what we help our clients create more of in their business. And not only that, but when you have more time, if you choose to scale and bring on more clients, you now have the ability to, because you can work faster while still getting really great results for them.
We're in the same boat. We're trying not to be the time clockers. I'm like watching that, sending in invoices with all of that. We're trying to get paid for our experience and not by the hour, and we're not commodities. And so these tools will just help you move into that role. You shouldn't get punished
Absolutely.
because you're faster and better. Okay, where's the best place to connect with you, and how can we get our hands on your AI copywriter in a box?
All right. Well, you can find us on Instagram at thelaurens.ai. Lauren Capwell and I are also on LinkedIn, so we spend a lot of time on there. Our website's thelaurens.ai. And to get our copywriter, we're actually going to include a link for you in the comments below. And we're happy to give you guys a $50 discount on that with the code UNICORN.
You have any parting words for somebody who wants to start, is new to this, and what's the most impactful thing they could do today?
I would say just have fun with it, especially when you're starting out. Play with it, ask it fun questions. Do not be afraid to make mistakes. Don't not send a prompt because you're afraid that it might give you bad output. Experiment, try things out. There are no wrong answers. Everything is a learning experience. And it's like, it's super fun. Like when you start to get into it, that's what I love about AI. So yeah, have fun with it and enjoy.
Yeah, and I'll also say it can be really helpful to also surround yourself with other people who are learning AI as well, or experts who are even like a step or a few steps ahead of you, because that's just how you're going to be able to like expedite your learning process.
Amen. We are all about that.